Free agency is approaching quickly. Who are some players the New York Jets could target? Let's talk about it right now. Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm NyjetsUK99. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're brand new, welcome aboard. Please like and subscribe. If you're returning, it's awesome to have you back. Welcome. All right, so today we're going to talk some New York Jets football, specifically free agency, which is going to be starting in the middle of March. Now, one of the big differences from last year to this year is the Jets don't have a whole lot of salary cap to work with. They are right now a couple of $100,000 over the cap. Joe Douglas stated earlier today at the Combine, after it's over, then they're going to start taking a look at extensions, cutting players, restructuring players, trying to find some ways to create some more salary cap space, which they will no doubt need. Not only for the free agents that they're going to be targeting, but also to bring in a quarterback and hopefully to extend defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. So what I've done today is I have targeted 15 players that I think it would make sense for the New York Jets to target. Now, I'm going to give you a note on this. The first 11 are what I consider value targets, meaning they're going to cost, in my estimation, $10 million a year or less. And then just as a little bonus, I've got 4 premium targets to look at as well, just in case the Jets are loading up for just one big non-quarterback free agent move. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about each player. I'm also going to give you a contract projection on that player as well. Let's do it. So the first player on my list is defensive tackle Hassan Ridgeway, most recently of the Philadelphia Eagles, also the Indianapolis Colts. The contract projection for him is 2 years, $5 million total, $2 million guaranteed. Now, Ridgeway came to the 49ers in 2022. He played only 39% of their snaps over 12 games. Now, he did have 10 run stops over 124 run defense snaps. That's about an 8% run stop rate. That placed him 36th among all defensive tackles. Now, again, I'm not looking for the best player here. We're looking for some ways to save some money, and we know that this coaching staff will rotate their defensive linemen. Okay, so as a run stopper, he might fill in that role that Nathan Shepard might be vacating, for instance. So Ridgeway made 28 tackles against the run, but he did not miss a single tackle. He's a very reliable tackler, and that's something that I like. Now, Ridgeway weighs 305 pounds. He has a 32-inch vertical jump, so he can get up a little bit when he needs to do that. And the Jets covet, good jumping ability and mobility in their defensive linemen. And I'll tell you what, the Jets have a lot of ties to Ridgeway. Of course, he played with the 49ers, so that makes him a clear fit for the Jets scheme. But Joe Douglas was the Eagles' vice president of player personnel when Ridgeway was acquired by Philadelphia in a draft day trade back in 2019. Also, Rex Hogan was the Colts' VP of player personnel during Ridgeway's final 2 seasons in Indianapolis. So that is probably my most under-the-radar player, Hassan Ridgeway, because he's a good run-stopping defensive tackle. He's got ties to the Jets organization. Now, my next player is Denzel Perryman, linebacker from the Raiders. I think the projection is 2 years, $8 million, $4 million per year, $4 million guaranteed. So Perryman was signed to a 2-year, $6 million deal before the 2021 season, immediately traded to the Raiders. And he became a Pro Bowl player. You talk about overachieving. That is what Perryman did. He logged 863 snaps that season, a career high, made 121 tackles. So then he was looking for a new contract before 2022. He played it out. He earned an 80.5 run defense grade. His 62 run stops over the last 2 seasons rank 9th among all off-ball linebackers, and his 18 tackles for loss or no gain is tied for 14th. You'll notice there's certain positions here that I'm targeting. Defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, offensive line. Those are the Jets' biggest needs. I'm not including quarterback, just a heads up, because I want to look at some more under-the-radar players here. So Perriman is my second player. Number 3 is Morgan Fox, defensive tackle. Now I'm projecting will get a 2-year, $9 million deal, $5 million guaranteed. He set career high marks as an interior pass rusher in 2022. Got a 70.6 pass rush grade, had 40 quarterback pressures, had an 11.2 pressure rate. If you've got a pressure rate in double digits, that's pretty good. Now, the one caveat with this, he's not really a run defender. So he's a late down rotational player who would come in for obvious passing situations, but a lot of teams are going to covet that skill come free agency. So maybe on a 3rd and long, you plug in Fox and put him next to Quinnen Williams, put in Bryce Huff, put in John Franklin Myers, and just send them all at the quarterback. All right, so Morgan Fox. My next one I'm going to talk about is another defensive player, Alex Singleton, linebacker from the Denver Broncos. I'm projecting him to get a 2-year, $10 million deal, $5.5 million guaranteed. You know, I talked about Alex Singleton actually last year when we were looking at free agents. I put that on my blog that I was running at the time. This is his first time as a free agent. And he was an undrafted free agent when he first came into the league with Seattle back in 2015. A very solid, all-around, off-ball linebacker. He has 3 straight seasons logging 750 snaps or more, and he took a huge leap in 2022 with the Broncos. His 82.6 run defense grade ranked 8th in the league amongst all off-ball linebackers. He got 100 tackles or more for the 2nd year in a row. He has 30 quarterback pressures also. Over 135 pass rush snaps in the past 3 years. His pass rushing took a big leap in 2022. So he is a linebacker who is really starting to figure it out. Maybe he's a one-year wonder, but he's been steadily progressing for the last couple of years. Now he's looking for a contract. Let's see if this is a player the Jets would target. Okay, my next player is another linebacker. Azeez Al-Shaair from the San Francisco 49ers. I'm looking at 2 years, $8 million, $4.5 million guaranteed on that one. So he is in line to get paid after Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw now find themselves among the top paid off-ball linebackers in the NFL. He is not going back to the 49ers. Absolutely no way. So last year, the Niners applied the 2nd round restricted free agent tender. And I think because they feared he would be snatched away by someone. And he didn't play a whole lot in 2022, but when he did, he played the run very well, had a 79.7 run defense grade. It was his first season missing fewer than 10% of his tackle opportunities. And he had 2 defensive run stops, 7 tackles, and played pretty well for the 49ers during the playoffs. Not too high on this guy. He'd be more of a reserve linebacker, but he is somebody who could potentially fit in. My next player is Julian Love, safety currently of the New York Giants. I think he's going to get a little more money this year. I think 3 years, $23.25 million. That's 7.75 per year. I think $15 million guaranteed. He has a very diverse skill set as a cornerback or a safety. He could really serve as a ball hawk, and that's something the Jets sorely lacked last year in their secondary. You know, the Jets averaged less than 1 turnover on their defense per game. That needs to change next season. And the Giants also trusted him in the slot. I like that. Love can play against the tight end, or he could snuff out a screen pass, something the Jets were sorely lacking the ability to do last year. He played the most snaps in his career last year, over 1,000, and his 80 tackles in 22, the 7th most among all safeties, and he only had 6 missed tackles. That's the 2nd fewest among safeties. All right, so that is Julian Love. Now we come to a defensive tackle who I am high on. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this player. It's Poona Ford from the Seattle Seahawks. I'm projecting 2 years, $12.5 million total, $7.5 million guaranteed. So 2 years after signing an early extension, I think Ford is going to get about the same contract after a down 22 season. Now, the reason why I think he had a down year was because the Seahawks were playing a lot of 3-4. Ford is more suited to play the 4-3 because he's not the biggest player in the world. Now, he did have 22 quarterback pressures. He had his lowest missed tackle rate since his rookie season at 7.9%. I think he's more of a run defender than he is a pass rusher, but he could fit very well in the 4-3. Robert Saleh knows him. If you're counting on a 1 or 2 year bounce back defensive lineman, then I think Poona Ford is a player who can make a lot of sense. Okay, Our next player is Jermaine Pratt, linebacker from the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm projecting 3 years, $24.75 million total. That's $8.25 million per year. And I'm going to say he gets $18 million guaranteed. So here's the thing. The Bengals have 2 starting safeties as pending free agents, one of whom we're going to talk about a little later on in the video. Also, they have to decide what they're going to do about wide receiver T. Higgins. Logan Wilson, another linebacker, is due for an extension. The Bengals have some big choices to make. Oh, and did I mention that they have a pretty good quarterback who's only making $8 million a year right now, who could use a little uptick? He could use a few more zeros on the end of his paycheck, I'd say. So I think even after a career year, it's possible Jermaine Pratt hits the open market. So Jermaine Pratt, check this out, had a 90.1 coverage grade. That's the best mark among linebackers in the NFL last season. Missed just 2 tackles in coverage. He didn't miss many tackles as a run defender either. He whiffed on just 5.9% of his opportunities, and during his first 3 years, his missed tackle rate was over 10%. He dropped it from over 10 to under 6 this year. Big, big improvement. I love that. He's hitting the right time. He's hitting his peak. We know Joe Douglas loves to go after free agents who are coming off that first, rookie deal. So I think Pratt, if he hits the market, if Joe Douglas wants to strike hard, he could get Jermaine Pratt. I think that could really, really be an interesting signing. Okay, so now let's switch it up a little bit, and I'll talk about one offensive player as a value free agent target. It's center Ethan Posick of the Cleveland Browns. So I'm projecting 3 years, $21 million total, $11 million total guaranteed. Posick is one of the better free agent center options. If the Jets don't bring back Connor McGovern, there aren't a ton of options out there. You have Garrett Bradbury, you have Bradley Bozeman, but I would look at Posick. So he signed a 1-year deal with the Browns after beginning his career with the Seattle Seahawks. He got to be tutored by Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches in recent memory. So he is a little bit better of a run blocker, really good as a zone run blocker. And he returned from a knee injury the previous season and was probably one of the Browns' best offensive players. I think he was their 4th best rated offensive player. And think about it, that Browns offense features players like Nick Chubb, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller. So yeah, Posick was right there with any of them. Now, Cleveland has 2 of the highest paid guards in the league in Bitonio and Teller. And they also extended right tackle Jack Conklin, so there's a good chance Posick is going to hit the open market because you can only invest so much money. All right, so if Posick hits the open market and the Jets don't bring back McGovern, he could be a target because, it's a little scary for the Jets to go into the draft needing to draft a center. You want to have somebody in that spot. So Ethan Posick, that's a guy to keep an eye on as well. Okay, now I've got 2 safeties I want to talk about here. Number 1 is Jimmy Ward from San Francisco. I'm projecting 2 years, $13.5 million total, $6.75 million per year, $8 million total guaranteed. So Ward was forced to switch positions from safety to slot corner this season, and he wasn't too thrilled about that. He told his head coach Kyle Shanahan so, but he acclimated, played quite well throughout the second half of the year in particular. So from week 8 to the end of the season, he was the 11th ranked slot corner in the league, and also a very good run defender as well. He's likely going to want to go back to safety, though. Now, the fact that he can play the slot is certainly an added bonus. And, of course, when you have a San Francisco free agent, you know that the Jets are going to have at least some interest. They're going to kick the tires on it. Just hopefully that one would work out a little better than Laken Tomlinson. Okay, I've got one more value target, so I got 5 free agents left I want to talk about. Von Bell, safety from Cincinnati. This is the one I'm looking at. Contract projection, 3 years. I'm going to say $24 million, $18 million of that's going to be guaranteed. Bell has the right to ask for a good amount of money the way Cincinnati's been playing. So he's been kind of an under-the-radar field general on the back end. He serves as the glue guy for that defense. And as the Bengals quarterbacks were going down with injuries, one after another, Bell was one of those, the guiding lights along with Mike Hilton. So Bell has an 88.7 run defense grade over the last 5 seasons. That's 8th best amongst all safeties. Now, he did have a pretty high missed tackle rate. That's the one concern, about 14%, but he can hold his own in coverage. He's a very solid all-around player. There's no team that wouldn't want Von Bell on their team. Now I want to take a look at some premium free agents, guys who are going to cost, in my mind, $10 million a year or more, that the Jets should definitely express some interest in if they can make the cap space work. So I want to take a look at an offensive player here, a guard, Isaac Seumalo. Now, if you target a guard here, that probably means AVT is going to right tackle in all likelihood. But I think Seumalo would be worth it. Just came off a Super Bowl appearance with the Eagles. I'm projecting 3 years, $33 million total. That's $11 million per year, $22 million of that guaranteed. So Seumalo entered 2022 with some questions after dealing with some injuries over his prior 2 years. In fact, the Eagles used the second-round pick on Cam Jurgens as insurance. Well, Seumalo made them eat their words. He logged over 1,000 snaps in 2022. He had a career best grade according to PFF, rate with over a 75 grade. And his pass blocking from week 11 on, protecting whether it was Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew, was absolutely rock solid. Allowed 0 quarterback hits and 0 pressures. Seumalo just kept getting better and better and better. You know, and as much as the Eagles are, again, invested in their offensive line, somebody's got to shake loose. The Eagles have a lot of big free agents coming up. They're not going to be able to pay everybody. Let's see if Seumalo gets to the open market. Now, another player I want to look at is also an Eagle, and this one I'd have even more interest in. It is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the safety. I'm projecting 3 years, $34.5 million, $11.5 million per year, with $23 million guaranteed. The Eagles traded for Gardner-Johnson this past offseason after he couldn't come to terms with the New Orleans Saints, and it was surprising the Eagles didn't extend him right there on the spot. But he got to a strong start. He had 6 interceptions, tied for the most in the NFL. He did have an injury that knocked him out for 5 weeks to close the year, but he came back for the playoffs, played very well. And one of the things that he did well was, that I noticed, Week 18 against the Giants, he played in the slot as well when Avonte Maddox got hurt himself. He allowed just 2 receptions for 5 yards. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see where teams project him, whether it's a slot player, whether they want him as a safety. But I think with his toughness and his versatility, he is going to be one of the most sought-after safeties on the free agent market in what is, in my mind, a very rich market when it comes to the safety position. I mean, Jordan Poyer, Jesse Bates, guys like that. So many good safeties hitting the market. I think CGJ will be right up there with any of them. All right, so 2 more players that we're going to look at. And the next one is David Long, an off-ball linebacker of the Tennessee Titans. Not a very well-known player, but I'm projecting 4 years for this guy, $55 million, $33 million guaranteed. I think he's going to make a lot of money. Here's the thing. The Titans ask a lot from their off-ball linebackers. There isn't a thing Long can't do. Play the run, rush the quarterback, play in coverage. He has an 89 run defense grade in 2022, ranked 4th in the league, 13 tackles for loss or no gain. This past year, he had 86 tackles, 6 quarterback pressures, 2 interceptions. He loves to play downhill. He loves to attack. It helps him blow up a lot of plays. The one thing that can lead him to overcommitting on play action passes when he takes a bad angle. But he's an ascending young player, and he is a big reason why Tennessee's defense finished first in expected points on the season. Now, while he did play middle linebacker for the first time this past season, he has shown that he can play middle or off ball. Check these numbers out. Over his last 3 seasons, he has a pass rush win rate of 19.8% and a 23.8% pressure rate. Those are both second best marks amongst all off-ball linebackers with at least 100 pass rush attempts. This is a pass rushing off-ball linebacker who can be really, really good. I know I would only do this if CJ Mosley is let go, because you can only invest so much money in the linebacker position. But I'll tell you what, whoever gets David Long, they're going to be the better for it. The last player I want to talk about is Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker from the Buffalo Bills. I'm projecting a lot for him. I'm thinking 3 years, $45 million, and 28 of that guaranteed. Edmonds has been one of the real engines for that Buffalo Bills defense. He made big strides in coverage in 2022, which had been a weakness of his game before. He's only going to be 25 years old upcoming. and his coverage grade was the third best mark amongst off-ball linebackers, forced an incompletion rate on 10.3% of his targets, and he only missed 6.5% of potential tackles, the lowest rate of his career. He really is he's sort of the quarterback of their defense as well, of the Buffalo defense. So again, if C.J. Mosley goes, the Bills have to make a decision. Will they keep Jordan Poyer? Will they keep Tremaine Edmunds? They got some big decisions to make. I'm not as confident as I was that Edmunds is going to hit the open market, because I'm pretty sure that Poyer is going to go somewhere. He's made it pretty clear he doesn't want to play in a state that's going to have a huge tax rate, so maybe that opens the door for the Bills keeping Tremaine Edmunds. But I think if he does hit the market, that is a player that makes a lot of sense. Plus, you're taking one of the best defenders off a division rival and adding him to yours. So I am all for that. Wow, this is one of the longest videos I've ever done. So we went through 15 different free agents. Is there anybody I mentioned who really stands out to you that you would like to see be a Jet? Is there a free agent, preferably a lower value free agent that maybe I didn't mention that you would like to see come to the Jets? I'd love to hear your comments. Let's go back and forth. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.